All right, let's move on to the next step. And here I want to introduce you to the 5 pillars of well-being. And I want you to listen, or I should change my wording. I invite you to listen and notice which one are you supporting for yourself and which one does your workplace support or not support. So start thinking about that. And just so that you know, the 5 pillars of well-being are based on a whole bunch of studying and research that I've been doing into many areas of well-being, and also inspired by the blue zones. If any of you know about the blue zones, those are the geographic locations around the world, 5 geographic locations around the world where people consistently live to be over 100 without any chronic disease and without any illness. And it's not just the food they eat, it's not just the air they breathe. There's a whole series of things that are happening that are part of their culture. And so I've taken some of that and put it into these 5 pillars of well-being. So I am going to share my screen, but I'm also going to display them on your flip chart sheet. So I encourage you to have it open so that you can do the rating there, and you'll see how that works in a minute. But I'm also going to share my screen so that we have it for the purpose of the recording. So let's go with the first one. The first area of well-being is what we call social well-being. Social well-being is all about how connected you are to other people. We are social animals. We need to have a sense of belonging, whether it's a sense of belonging to our families or a sense of belonging to the teams we work with or a community of people outside of work. Ideally, we have a strong sense of belonging in every area in which we spend time. So workplace should be one important one, our communities, our neighborhood, our families. When someone has a good when someone's social well-being is at its best, that's when they are better able to maintain emotional, cognitive, and physical health. They can express their authentic self, contribute to their team more effectively, feel happier and more content, be more alert, and feel motivated, enthusiastic, and resilient. It really makes a difference. And I'll share one quick story, which is a client that we had in one of our workshops. And he was in one of the breakout rooms. And Laura, you'll remember this one. And he actually said, it was during the pandemic, and he actually said, wow, it's been more than a year since I've been asked to contribute ideas or to give my opinion. That's how isolated he had been in his workplace. And that has a real impact on people's performance at work and their well-being after work. So things that impact people's social well-being is the opportunities that they get to communicate with others in meaningful ways, opportunities for personal and meaningful conversations, again, your sense of belonging, maintaining close friendships, and showing and receiving appreciation is a really big one. So if you click on this card, you'll notice that you have the ability to move a slider, and there's 2 questions. Let's take a minute to think. How well do you support yourself in this pillar of well-being? And how well does your work culture support this pillar of well-being? So go ahead and rate both. All right, so let's move on to the next pillar of well-being. So if we can have that pop up on our screen, and if it doesn't pop up for you, just refresh your screen. But the next one is physical well-being. And this might be obvious, and yet we think that it's an individual thing, and it's not. So let me talk about this for a minute or two. Physical well-being is when we are able to maintain our energy throughout the day, every day, without necessarily depending on caffeine. And I'm not saying that caffeine is a bad thing. It's a bad thing when we become dependent on it and when we need it multiple times a day. When our physical health and well-being is at its best, we're able to feel energetic. We're able to concentrate on difficult tasks because we're comfortable, because our body is comfortable. We're able to be free from aches and pains and physical discomforts. We can perform physical tasks with ease. We can maintain a robust immune system, which helps us prevent illness and multiple sick days. And we can avoid reoccurring illness and injuries. The things that impact our physical well-being are obviously your nutrition and hydration, your exercise habits, the desk ergonomics, air quality, and the quality of your sleep. But what I really want to point out here is that we have made a mistake, I think, in our culture over time of putting the responsibility of taking care of our physical health on the individual, when in reality, it's a cultural thing. When you are part of a community that values their physical well-being, that prioritizes their physical well-being, it becomes something that's part of life. It becomes completely normal. And I think that's one of the biggest things that's lacking in the workplace today, especially for those of us who do cognitive work. We work with our brains, and we have people that can come in and repair the computer if the computer breaks down or slows down, but we don't have people or supports for our physical health, not often enough. And when we do, there are things that we're meant to do as individuals and not as a culture. So go ahead and click on this one. Again, you click on the image or on the text anywhere you want, and you'll have the option to rate it. So if you haven't done that yet, let's take a minute to do that. All right, let's have the third area or pillar of well-being pop up here. And the third one is not commonly thought about, but it's very, very important. And this is intrinsic well-being. Intrinsic well-being is about your sense of purpose or sense of that you're contributing, the sense that you matter, that you are important to the team, that you are important to the workplace, that you are important to your family, that you're important to your community. That's the intrinsic well-being. And it's been shown over and over again in research that your physical well-being could be fairly poor. It could be, you could have all the markers for heart disease, as an example. But if you've got intrinsic well-being, if you've got a strong sense of purpose, if you've got a strong sense of why you're here, how you can contribute to the world, your health outcomes are actually going to be really better than the person who has the same markers for heart disease and doesn't have intrinsic well-being. So it's extremely important for people to feel that they matter, especially in the workplace, especially on their teams. And when this pillar of well-being is at its best, that's when you get out of bed each morning with a sense of purpose and energy and willingness to get to work. You feel enthusiastic about contributing to the best of your ability. You value yourself and you feel motivated to take care of yourself. So that's also important because, again, it will impact the other areas of well-being. And you're able to inspire others to also be at their best. And the things that impact this pillar of well-being is your level of self-awareness, the amount of connection that you feel towards your sense of purpose or direction, the sense of freedom and autonomy. So being micromanaged is not going to be good for your intrinsic well-being. But feeling that you have a sense of autonomy over how you organize your workday is important. Opportunities to contribute at work, at home, in your community, feeling aligned with your company's values, mission, and vision, and feeling valued by others. So let's go ahead and rate this one. If you haven't already, click on it and rate it. We're going to get to see the results of everyone's rating in a minute. And let's look at the fourth pillar of well-being. So the fourth one is cognitive well-being. And this one is especially important to me for a number of reasons. One is that I work with my brain, and one of the things that I specialize in is in teaching people about creative thinking skills and problem-solving skills. And this is a really cognitive dominant skill. And in order to be able to solve problems creatively, it means being able to generate ideas and to act on those ideas. It actually really depends on the wellness, on your cognitive well-being. That, and I had the privilege of working with a group of people with dementia in creating, and Laura, you'll remember this as well, in creating a vision for a nonprofit group that they were a part of. And it really opened my eyes to the situation that we have in our world today, with an increasing number of people developing cognitive decline at an earlier and earlier age every decade. And research is showing, this is coming out strongly, that your cognitive well-being is very closely tied to your lifestyle and to these other pillars of well-being, very closely tied to your social well-being, your physical well-being, your intrinsic well-being. And so when someone's cognitive well-being is at its best, they're able to maintain focus on the task at hand, remember important details, generate new ideas, learn new things, make smart decisions, sustain intellectual engagement evenly throughout the day. And the things that impact our cognitive well-being that not everyone is aware of, it's actually your nutrition and hydration plays a really big role. Your exercise habits, the quality of your sleep, which is also impacted by your nutrition and your exercise habits, your social connections, opportunities to keep your brain engaged in learning, and your insulin sensitivity, which again, not a lot of people are aware of how important this element is. And I could do a whole full day workshop on this, and we could be doing a full 3-month challenge to create positive habits that nourish your cognitive well-being, but we're not going to do that today. So I'm not going to go too much deeper into it, but let's go ahead and rate this. So click on the card and let's rate it. And lastly, number 5. Number 5 is on your emotional well-being. And I'm sure you all know what this is about. It's about being able to maintain a stable mood throughout the day. It's concentration on work that demands your full attention. It's being open to a variety of options and possibilities. The better your emotional well-being, the more you're actually willing to take risks. And the more you're willing to innovate, the more you're willing to contribute ideas, and the more you're able to do difficult work. And to be resilient. You are better able to approach challenges with a sense of optimism and motivate yourself to do things that we all have to do. Sometimes we all have to do things that are just dreadful, repetitive work, or that is not our strength. And the better our emotional well-being, the better we can do that type of work as well. Things that impact our emotional well-being, again, nutrition and hydration. It's fascinating to me how little people know about the research that's coming out that's related to the brain-gut connection. Your gut is where your neurotransmitters and your happy hormones are produced. Your serotonin, which makes you feel happy, is produced in the gut. If you don't have the nutritional ingredients that your body needs to produce those happy hormones, you're going to be more prone to ongoing depression and anxiety. So nutrition and hydration really plays an important role here. Again, exercise habits, your mental health support systems, we all need those. We all have times where we need to tap into those systems, whether therapy, counseling, coaching, or treatments. Having meaningful social connections, so back to the social well-being. The quality of your sleep, which is also back to your physical well-being, your self-care habits, and your stress management skills and habits. Again, we've been in the habit of thinking of these things as an individual responsibility, and I believe we need to start creating cultures that support all these 5 pillars of well-being. So go ahead and click on it and rate yourself and rate your workplace. And ta-da, we're going to see the results in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So let's have a look here. What do we see? So the bottom, the x-axis is how well you support yourself in the pillars of well-being. So it looks like the best one is physical well-being. And for how well your workplace supports it, it looks like cognitive well-being is bad, but none of them are high. So the highest we've gone is like between 5 and 6. All right, so we've got a lot of work to do. And this emotional well-being looks quite low in terms of workplace support. All right, this is really, really important to know. And also lowest on the how you support yourself. All right, so again, this will all make its way into the report, but this actually is also really useful information for us as we develop our programs and services to support well-being advocates in creating a workplace culture that supports our physical, emotional, social, and mental health and cognitive health.